I think the calling people Jira admins, like that needs to go away, because you don't want to hire a Jira admin. You want to hire an architect.
Yeah.
Like you
A
want to hire
solutions architect.
somebody, you
Yeah.
want to hire a solution architect. You don't want to hire an admin, because if you just hire an admin and the expectation is when we tell you to give us a field, you give us a field.
Yeah, it's garbage in
Or
is
when we
garbage
tell
out.
you, like, yeah, if you just hire that person, then you know what? Just outsource that to a solution partner.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Summer of Atlassian 4.0. Today I got Josh Costella. He's an oldie but a goodie, and we are going to be having a lot of fun catching up because it's been a while since I've seen him, 4 weeks, and I'm sure a lot has happened in those 4 weeks. So Josh, thanks for being here.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for having me back. It's very nice. I can't believe it's been a year since we did this last time.
Yeah.
That makes me feel just older. Just life just
I'm
chugging on.
trying to think. Ronnie was like my guy that came back every year, but this year he was like, Alex, I'm gonna give everybody a break. and I'm gonna step away from the limelight because my microphone's all messed up. Hopefully you can still hear me.
Yeah.
He, believe it or not, when I publish his video, which is usually the first video for the Summer of Atlassian, no other interview like can beat him in viewer count.
Yeah.
And so Ronnie's like, we're gonna let somebody else try to see if they can get me this year. So we'll find out if it's Josh or not.
No, it won't be me.
I'm trying to think of if I got any repeats. So I mean, the channel has grown a lot, the popularity grows a lot, and the impact grows quite a bit year over year. And so I have a whole bunch of new people that I'm like that are new to me, but apparently they wanted to come and chat. So we've been having some fun. We've had a couple of Atlassians. That's kind of new too.
Oh, that's awesome.
The whole Team 25 kind of opened up the floodgates to who are these guys and what do they do?
Yeah. No, that's great. I mean, there's a lot of great people out there that I think we need to hear from more. And I feel like I'm starting to be a member of the old guard. And like I'm one of those people that like I just need to be in the background now, shutting up. But alas, I'm here today.
Is that how you felt? Like you had launched something. Why? What happened there?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm not entirely opposed to picking it back up again. But I mean, stuff gets in the way, work gets in the way, life gets in the way, that kind of thing.
I'll tell you, it's a full-time job. Like
it is.
We have a spreadsheet. Between my wife and I, we're trying to actively manage 8 channels right now.
Oh.
And we were talking about this in our green room, right? But like, I chose to walk away from a very, very comfortable, high 6-figure job.
Yeah.
Where I did pretty much, I mean, I wouldn't say I didn't do anything because I had a lot of responsibilities, but when it came to Jira, I had a team taking care of the daily stuff, and I really just did the strategy, right? And the more architecture type of things, which was a lot of fun. I love that stuff, but there was a moment in time where I'm like, can I grow? Can I grow this stuff and continue to feed the family? Right now, we ain't feeding anybody, but we're optimistic. We're optimistic.
Yeah, I walked away from an exact job like that. And I mean, I still went to, that was when I joined Atlassian, but I mean, like that was a unique opportunity, that one that I've been looking for a very long time. But yeah, it's I get the trepidation and the nerves, and like I hope I made the right decision. But yeah, it's
so I was in Arizona with you mid-March, right? Like 2 months ago almost now.
Yeah, not that long ago. Yeah.
Yeah, and I had just been out of the game for like 2 weeks at that point. And so I was talking to Summer, and Summer was telling me like the story between her husband and her and the thing that they did. And it's super inspirational because there's not a day that I don't want to give up. And in fact, you can't see it here, but I got a dollar sign and a date on that whiteboard there. And if that dollar sign and that date don't happen to coincide together, I will most likely rejoin the workforce here. But I gave myself ample time, right? So that date is not like tomorrow, right? It's end of
Sure.
summer. And so I gave
Sure.
myself like a little over 6 months to try to make something out of nothing, see what happens.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I've seen like creators and stuff that I follow both inside, kind of the Atlassian world and outside that, eventually had done similar things where they're like, all right, I'm going to give this a go and, give themselves a little bit of a runway. And sometimes they make it and sometimes they don't. And, I mean, it's always really inspiring when you see the people that make it, where they're like, yeah, man, I had like a month left before I had to get a job again. And this thing just happened. Like this thing took off. And I mean, I personally think it's gonna continue to take off for you. I mean, I don't see you failing at this. You're already proving that you can do it and do it well. And um, yeah, I think it's going to continue to grow for you. And I'm glad that like Atlassian is starting to see it too, and like you guys are able to get bigger interviews and more recognition, and you're kind of getting out in the front a little bit more, which I think is valuable for them and obviously valuable for you. Um, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's interesting. Ronnie and I started the Jira Life, and we were just reminiscing because we're coming up on our second birthday, and we had been talking about it for so long, like it was
Yeah.
months. It was months, and I remember going to Team 23, and from here, from my house, I carried a microphone, and that was it. I
Mhm.
carried a microphone and a phone gimbal, one of those DJI phone gimbals, and I the conference is 3 days, right? So we had
Mhm.
a Tuesday. Ronnie was busy the whole day because I didn't know like champions had all their agenda thing, right? I wasn't a champion back
Yep.
in 2023, and so that was Tuesday. Wednesday, I probably saw Ronnie once, took a picture, and
Mhm.
then by that Thursday, like at 1 p.m., like an hour before the expo closes, I'm like, I've been carrying this microphone around for like 2 days here. I flew it all the way to Vegas. Let's at least say hi on a camera, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And there's that. Thus was born the Jira Life. But even then, that was like early April, and we didn't officially launch until like Memorial Day weekend of that year. So it still took us like another almost 60 days to get going again for reals.
Yeah, man. And then in under 2 years, you're interviewing the CEO of Atlassian,
The chief
and not only
Atlassian,
interviewing, like that was a long interview, right? I mean,
dude.
that just doesn't happen. Like, when do you see him doing interviews that long? You know what I mean? Like, it just doesn't happen.
And the best part is, I think we could have kept going.
Yeah.
he he was like
No,
all for it.
Mike's great, man. Mike's great.
Yeah,
I like
it
Mike.
was so much fun. That interview though, it was a lot of emotions with that interview.
Mhm.
One, we thought it was gonna be an April Fool's joke because we got the email on April 1st.
Oh, jeez. I don't think they would do that to you.
That's what we were hoping.
That'd
That's
be
what we were
really
hoping, and we're
shitty.
like, yeah, we're like, you know what? Atlassian's had one that would be really mean,
Yeah, that'd
and
be mean.
two,
They wouldn't do that.
and two, they sent it on April 2nd. It was still
Oh,
our April
yeah,
1st, right?
exactly,
Because they're
exactly.
so far ahead. So we're
Yep.
like, "Ah, it's got to be real." But our goals, our aspiration, as we were pre gaming for team, was Rodney when he went to Barcelona. He caught Anu just like in the heat of the moment, saying, "I didn't choose the Jira Life chose me," right?
Mhm.
And Ronnie, because of his heart surgery, he's like, "I can't make it, but you guys, your job is to corner Mike at the ceremony at the awards dinner, and
Yeah,
just get him to record it, right? Get him to say it real quick." And we just
right.
wanted 10 seconds. We wanted to commandeer 10 seconds of his life. That
Yeah.
was that was the goal. And then Atlassian is like, yeah, so he wants to interview with you. But what was also interesting at that same time, in that same like couple of days, Atlassian
Mhm.
was telling us other Atlassians we were going to be able to interview for 15 minutes.
Mhm.
So it went from 10 seconds to a 15-minute conversation where we're
Wow.
like, okay, so we're gonna have 15 minutes with him. And we're like, cool. And then they're like, no, no, no. He wants to do a show.
Oh,
And we respond back like, our shows are an hour, right?
yeah, at
And
least.
yeah,
Yeah.
and they're like, yeah, he's like, he wants to do the whole show.
Like, yeah, done.
So
Yeah,
yeah,
if he needs to record this at 3 a.m., we'll be there at 3 a.m. Like whatever, we'll make it happen.
it was
No, that's cool, man. That's so interesting that you guys weren't even asking to interview him. Like you were just asking for like a sound bite,
yeah.
and
No,
they
we
get
weren't
that's
even no,
awesome, dude.
we were gonna steal the soundbite. We didn't even ask for the soundbite. We were
Yeah,
gonna definitely steal the soundbite. We were just gonna, like,
yeah,
you know how they did that photo shoot right after the dinner? We were just gonna, like,
yeah.
approach him, kinda hold him hostage there for 10 seconds and go, "Can you please say I didn't choose a job?"
Probably could have had like AI like comb his videos and then pull out the
Pull it
text,
out. Yeah.
pull it out. But
But
no, that's great, man. It's super cool. I'm still kind of in awe of that you guys managed to do that, in less than 2 years. I mean, I think that's awesome. It's just cool stuff.
I will tell you though, it stretched the team thinly. A
Hmm.
lot of preparation, a lot of coordination, a lot of sleepless nights, and by the time we got to him, it was 10 p.m. By the time we finished with him, it was 11 p.m.
Yeah.
on Wednesday, and we were just so tired.
Hmm.
So much adrenaline, like any adrenaline, any ounces of energy that we had in us or motivation or anything was just gone
Yeah.
by the time we got to the interview with him. And and to me, the hardest point or the hardest part of this all was after the interview, I kind of felt dead inside.
That can happen. I hear about things like that a lot where it's like you have this goal, right? And it seems unattainable and you work incredibly hard and you give it your all and you achieve that goal. And then there is this, well, now what?
Yeah, that's
Like
exactly what
I,
that's
I
exactly
I'm
what went
at
through
the
my
top
head.
of the mountain. Like even the people who climb Everest have to come back down,
You're right.
right? So like there's literally only so I mean it's like you just have to I think ultimately it's setting the right goals, right? Like if it's a goal that's just super easily achievable, that like think of it more as a milestone and not a goal, right?
Another
The
finish
the
line.
the end game, I mean, you guys it's the infinite game, right? Like you're not playing for like once you hit 1 million subscribers, you're going to shut the channel down. You know
No,
what I mean? Like
absolutely not. Yeah.
that's not what you're playing for. You're playing to just grow the channel and make this a bigger and bigger and bigger community, a bigger thing, and hopefully something that can pay you guys so that way you don't have to work and you can just focus on this. And so I mean, there's a bunch of milestones you want to hit. And to me, having goals more like that is um it's a lot better on the psyche because number one, you can watch the progress happen and you can make those like, okay, well, we have this many more subscribers and then these two people will be able to, quit their jobs. And I think just having goals like that is more rewarding because they're a little bit smaller potentially and you're playing the long game. You're
Yeah.
not you're not playing for like we got to get this interview. Okay, we got the interview.
Now what?
Now what do we
Yeah.
do? Like,
Yeah,
well, you go get another one. Like I mean, you just it's the next thing. It's the next thing. But
we kind of we had a little retrospective and we're like I set the next goal. I was like, I'd like to grow this thing to the point where we can be like on a stage. I don't know, it needs to be like the keynote, but I'd
mhm.
love to be with him on stage and chatting with him in front of the crowd.
Yeah.
Because the
No,
biggest feedback the biggest feedback I got was like it felt so authentic. It felt so like Mike got to talk to us as a founder of Atlassian,
mhm,
unless it's a CEO. And I feel like
mhm.
a lot of the interviews and a lot of the presence that they do for team before, during, and after, it's Mike the CEO, right?
Yeah.
Mike
Yeah.
the shareholder that does it. But with us, it felt like he was just having friends with his mates, fun
Yep.
with his mates here, and just reminiscing on a time that was and thinking about the future.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think a lot of people kind of just enjoyed that, and I think it'd be interesting to put that in front of 4 or 5 thousand people.
I mean, I could definitely see something like that happening. I mean, I could see it get to the point where, you know, you guys become like the official podcast of Atlassian. Like why wouldn't they choose you guys? right? Because I mean, you already have the following, you already have the infrastructure in place. I mean, I think eventually, because I mean, they don't really do a lot of that stuff anyway. I mean, they do sometimes, but it's been very limited from what I can see.
Yeah.
But like, I
They
feel
did
like
hire
Atlassian is a company that should have like a podcast and a regular podcast.
Yeah, I mean,
And
Microsoft has done them for years. They
yeah,
they used to have, like, the garage or something like that with
right.
and then on the
But I mean,
Xbox side, they had Larry Herb or something like that.
sure. But yeah, having like a video podcast where you can like a show like this, and where you can have people on all the time, and it's a relatively low overhead, right? Like comparatively. Um and yeah, I mean it's just there's no yeah, I could see something like that happening. I think that would be great. I mean, I don't know if that's something you guys would even want to do, but I I I like putting things out into the world. I think it would be
We'll see,
something
maybe
that
it
could
depends.
happen. I could
Yeah,
see it happening. That's
yeah.
ultimately what I'm saying.
Yeah, so that was the goal that I put forth, but then that kind of started putting a lot of stress on the team as well then because we kind of walked away from team saying like, "Okay, this literally was like hell week for us because
Mhm.
we we worked from Friday before teams all the way into that Saturday after teams. I probably slept an average of like 3 hours, maybe 4
Yeah.
a day
Yeah.
for that
Yeah.
entire 7, 8 days, right?
Mhm.
And all it wasn't just me, it was like the team. And so we really, for the first time, had to come together as a team
Yeah.
physically as well, because
Yeah.
we pulled off a 24-hour live stream, but
Right.
that didn't feel as and it was also 3 of us, and now we had 6 people.
Yeah.
We doubled the team, 4 teams, and so we had a lot more, communication we had to do, a lot less assumptions that we had to do, and then we're physically having to be in places. I think online you
Mhm.
can just send a Slack message and things happen quicker.
Yeah.
Like, show up in
Yeah.
this building at this time, and
Yeah.
then if you don't check your phone or whatever, like, it gets harder.
Yeah.
But we're walking away from team basically, and this is kinda something I wanna talk to you as well, right, is this is becoming a job.
Mhm.
Right, and the divide is half the team wants it to be a job, and the other half of the team wants it to just be the fun thing you do on the side, 1 hour
Yeah.
a week.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so the big challenge for us because now we're internalizing it and seeing like, okay, there's potential for growth here, but then at the same time, half the team just like status quo, but the other half of the team wants to be on stage with Mike.
Yeah.
So I wanted to ask you, go back, pulling it back to your show that you started, right?
Uh-huh.
Differences. How do you feel about how far can you go alone versus with the team? Like, what are your thoughts
Well,
there?
I mean, you know, I mean, if we're Atlassian through and through, we know that like you can't really do a whole lot alone. Um, and I mean, I think you can to an extent, right? It depends on what it is. But we're not playing golf, right? Like, and even golf is like, well, you got to have clubs that are made by somebody else. You got to have a caddy, you got to have a coach, you got to have like, so even the sports that appear to be singular, people that become the best in those sports or whatever it is, they
Need a
don't get there
team.
by themselves.
Yeah,
Um,
including F1 for when Mike watches this.
yeah, yeah, exactly,
'Cause I'm a firm believer
exactly.
that F1 is not a team sport, but
Yeah,
I'm letting
yeah,
go
it
of that
has
one.
nothing to do with the, several tens of millions of dollar car that is, designed by
Engineer.
a computer and a yeah, yeah, like it has nothing to do with that, of course. Um, but no, I it's very hard to do it all yourself, obviously. And this last go round, like for me, this was like the shit, fourth or fifth, maybe sixth podcast that I had been a part of. Either it had been my podcast or I had been like a co-host. But when I did it previously, it was quite a few years ago. And it was before StreamYard. And it was before all these apps and sites now that make post and make running the podcast so much easier. That being said, it's still work. Like there's still a lot of work that you have to do. And then if you want to put out a good product, right? You have to put in the time. And for me, when I was like, oh, I want to do this podcast, and it was exciting, and it was like the idea, and like, I mean, I'll be perfectly honest with you. If I could podcast full time and like work and run on a podcast, I would do it in a heartbeat. In
Yeah.
a heartbeat. Like that's how much I love doing it.
But it takes so much.
But
It's such a long lead time for a podcast to take
yes.
off.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
But very rewarding.
It is rewarding. I and it also, like, for me, it shifted because it was like, oh, I was thinking in my head, I was like, oh yeah, I'll just start a podcast again. Well, all the podcasts I had done previously were audio only, which is
Which
like, which is easy. Like I
yeah,
can
that's
just
a whole
record a
different
phone
level of
call and
effort.
have it a podcast. You know what I mean? Like it was that was a totally different skill set, and it was a
Yeah.
lot easier,
Yeah,
even without the tools that we have today.
I remember doing a cybersecurity audio only podcast, and I literally I was just reading what I wrote, right? I
Yeah,
was like reading a blog
exactly.
post, but you
Yeah.
can't like if you'd be watching me read,
Right.
and
Right.
it wouldn't roll
Right.
the same
And
way.
then everything now is video. Like if you don't have a video component, forget it. And then you have to clip it, right? Because you can't just put out your 2-hour podcast. You gotta have YouTube shorts, you gotta have TikTok clips, you gotta have all this shit now
Yeah,
that in order to grow your audience, and it, it's a lot of work, man. It's a lot of work, and it's a lot of work for a single person. Even with these advanced tools now, if that's not your thing, like if you're not good at that shit, it's hard. And then it's just a matter of finding the time to do it. And then, oh yeah, I have a career, and I have to, like, pay my bills and shit, and I have to do all this other stuff, and I have to have a life, because now I can't devote so much time that I have to, give up family and all that kind of stuff.
yeah,
So
and
it's hard. It's
and
hard.
that's why I've made a conscious effort for Apex to turn that into a family thing where my kids are heavily involved with it because then I'm feeling less guilty about not being a dad,
Yeah.
right? But
Yeah.
I'm their CEO, but we aren't not spending time together, which I think when you have a regular job, like that's like if you could bring your kids to work every day or your family to work or your work was it your
Yeah.
family, like I feel like it'd be a different I feel like we'd be in a different location as a country or as a world, really.
Put Alex down as pro child labor.
Pro child.
Uh
You call it pro child labor, but it gives the kids purpose, right? Like here's my son. My oldest son he just turned 13. He's super, super smart
yeah.
and he's achieving really, really well. And the last
Mm,
thing I want for him is to go to college.
mm,
Like, that is the last thing. I'm like, "Buddy, I don't want you to be in college. I don't even want you to be in high school." Like, he's like, "What do you want from me?" I'm like, "I want you to build something.
yeah.
I don't want you to go and join this thing that you work for 40 years and you hope that you have enough money to retire and you hope that you have enough energy at the end of 40 years to enjoy your life 40 years from now." Or in
Mm,
his case, 50 years from
mm,
now.
yeah.
And so I'm instilling on him, like, I work hard, but I directly can touch the output of my labor,
Yeah.
right? Versus working for someone, you make somebody else very, very rich.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's kind of that thing where it's like a lot of people, oh, follow your dreams, do what you love, all this kind of stuff, which is like, sure, but usually people that say that are already rich and successful, and
Yeah,
they can say that because now they have the ability to do those things. It's really about, like, find what you're good at and double, triple down,
right.
and like find that thing and just be the best at that thing. And I think the success will come, the money will come, like those types of things. But I mean, it's just finding that thing, even if it's niche, even if it's, I mean, look, let's be honest, like even being a Jira admin is, I mean, it's becoming less, but especially early days, that was niche, super niche. And it's becoming less because just due to the sheer growth of the company. But like for me, I this number one, I mean, when I started my professional career, Atlassian didn't even exist. Uh, and so, like, this was never on my mind of like, oh, I want to be a, you
Use
know,
your admin.
yeah, an admin, and then eventually a COO of Atlassian solution partner and all this kind of stuff. Like, never in a million years, right? And but I ended up being good at it. Like it happened by chance. I took a chance, I volunteered, and it was like everything just clicked and fell into place. Now, that doesn't mean that like overnight, I went from making $45,000 to $150,000. Like that didn't happen. I had to work my ass off and I had to learn a lot and I had to, you know, um, put in the time. Like I put in a lot of time. And there was a lot of failure on the way too. But either way, I was still good at it. And it ended up being something I liked doing, which was great. Um, and yeah, I was able to like see the result. Like I think you and I, like what you just said about, telling your son build something, that kind of thing. For me, being an admin was a lot like that. Because I mean, when I say admin, I don't mean just like, oh, give us a new field, but like more like solution, like
Mhm.
architect, like those types of things in this space. When you can design something, you get a requirement from a user, you understand the business case, you talk to them about it, you analyze it, you build out this elegant, creative
So-
solution, and then you build it, and then they use it, and they're like, oh my god, this is amazing.
or they hate
Like
it.
that is like a like, oh my god, injected in my
Yeah,
veins, right?
yeah,
And yeah, I mean, so to me, it's like that kind of that fulfilled that need, I think, in me, that like I wanted to be able to see the result of my work. And once I was able to do that through a job like this, then it was just I got
yeah.
addicted very
And
quickly.
it's interesting because there's two types of Jira admins out there. I've worked with teams where I jumped on a call one time and they were walking me through their Jira, and they're like just frustrated with Jira, and I'm like, "What? Why are you guys so frustrated with them?" They're like, "We have no idea if we're doing this right or if it's working correctly." And I'm looking through it. I looked through their configurations, and I'm like, "What the heck?" I'm like, "What did you guys do?"
Yeah.
And then they're like, "Oh, some Jira admin came and set it up for us." And I'm like, "And he didn't like bother to ask you questions?"
Right.
He's like, "No,
Right.
we had a they had another tool. They kind of ported over and they kind of just replicated the experience."
Yeah.
I'm like, "Well, no, a good Jira admin would have like customized this for your needs, for whatever you guys needed it for." So I ended up redoing it all for them
Yeah.
and retraining them. And my joy is the training, right? I love what everything you described, but my joy is going back and like then teaching folks, here's how it works, why it works, so they
Mhm.
can then connect with it, because a tool is just a tool at the end of the day,
Mhm.
but it's the people part that is still a challenge. This summer, it's the authentic conversations, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
W-
When I
this
when I was when I started up the podcast last year, uh initially I was like, man, I'm keeping it super authentic. I'm not going to edit. I'm just like it's just going to go. Like whatever it is, it's going to go. Like you're lucky I'm even doing video. I'll just do it and I want to post it. And then I never got to the point of like editing content, right? I didn't get into like, oh, we're going to cut this part of the conversation. Like I didn't do any of that shit. But like there would be little things that I would like start to trim and like pauses or something like that, or like little mess ups or something like what we just had. Like I would start cutting those things out. And but then before you know it, I'm like, oh, I can like put graphics up and I can do this and I can do that and I could trim the video and I could put it on this person for this amount of time and that person. Like I started getting like cause like the perfectionist took over. And then that just that multiplied the work that I had to do and felt compelled to do. And then quickly it just became too much.
Yeah, I
Um
think it's over the top. Like with I keep it simple. I just we're a big fan of MVP, like
yeah.
most viable
Yeah.
product, right? Like
Yeah.
we do enough. We studied YouTube a lot, and video, believe it or not, is not as important as the audio.
Yeah.
People could care less. Like I can just put a black screen on this on the thing, and people will listen to us talk for 3 hours
Yeah. Yeah.
without any problem, as long as the audio is crystal clear.
Yeah. Yeah, like I love agile. I love everything about agile, but the way that I work sometimes, a lot of times
Most
is
of the time.
waterfall.
Yeah.
I have to get it all done. It has to be perfect. It has, you know what I mean? And that it is a detriment. It absolutely is a detriment for me sometimes.
Oh man, I
And but I still work fast. Like I still get things done. It's just I just need to I need to I need to go more MVP. Like I really do with a lot of things.
Yeah, and then
And
you're like my
yeah.
wife. That's a lot of the friction out. We're gonna just turn this into like marriage advice now. My wife and I are so opposite, right? So I'm very high level, very surface touch. Like I don't go deep into any weed whatsoever.
Yeah.
I am so far up in the tree, in the skies, in the clouds that I don't know the details of half the stuff that I'm
Yeah.
working with, right? Which is again now going back to the Jira life and teamwork, right? It's what
Mhm.
causes some friction with the team members because we have team members that are just like you, right? They're very detail oriented. They needed steps A through Z mapped
Mhm.
out, processed out. And if you're expecting me to give you 26 steps to do you're not gonna get that. This is not a real example with the Jira life, but in general, like my wife sits there, right? And she's like, I told you this and I told you that. And I'm like, I need you to do this and I need you to do that. I don't need you to tell me so I can tell you what to do. Like you just need to go do it, right? Because I don't have
Yeah.
time. Like I am overwhelmed with all the work that I have to do that I'm like, you either do it yourself or
Yeah.
it's not gonna get done because I don't have time to give you direction. So you need to have that
Yeah.
entrepreneurial spirit inside of you to just do it, make a call.
Yeah. Yeah. I can
And
see that.
and that's but then there's other folks, right, that are like my wife, it's the opposite, right? My wife needs very detailed instructions. She goes deep into a problem and I'm like, I'll sit because now we sit next to each other. I'll
Yeah.
just be staring at her. I'm like, I gave you a task like 4 hours ago and you're still working on it. Why? Because I'm already 16 tasks later, right? Like
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
worked on like for 10 seconds on 16 different things.
Yeah.
I didn't get very far with all 16. She got pretty far on one.
Yeah. Well, that's the big debate, right?
Yeah.
Like multitasking is not a real thing. Um, so
Rapid cereal.
it's yeah, it's just it's a figment of people's imagination.
I
Anyone says they're a good multitasker is lying to you. They are full
yeah.
of shit, and you should not
I
believe
believe
them.
it because yeah,
I don't believe them. I don't.
I feel like a good playlist. I can probably go 3 or 4 songs on a playlist on deep work, and then the rest of it, like I gotta change. And that's about it. Even with my headphones, like when I feel distracted with all the Slack notifications and Discord notifications and LinkedIn notifications and
Mm.
all the notifications, right? Like I'm like squirrel, 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 squirrel. And it does not
Yeah,
help
it's
that I have
tough.
3 screens and things
Yeah.
are blurting at me. But then I don't
Yeah.
know what to do when there's calm.
Yeah.
Because when I quit my job back in March, the thing that went away was all the meetings.
Uh-huh.
And then I'm sitting there and I'm like, I'm supposed to be productive, but I don't know how to be productive if I'm not in a meeting. But meetings are the last thing that are productive.
Yeah.
So I hit a very big problem that I had to learn to undo over the last 90 days that I've been at this, 60 days, 65 days, almost 70 days. Whereas like I have to learn that not every ounce of productivity in me is going to be in a meeting.
Mhm.
I feel like I provide the most value when I'm guiding somebody how to use Jira.
Mhm.
But there's value in me sitting down and recording a sponsored video.
Oh, yeah.
But I don't see it takes me 2, 3, 4 hours to do a sponsored video. I don't s It's harder. I'm having a harder time adjusting like my per hour rate to things that take longer that I don't necessarily get paid per hour to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah. It's a totally different mindset and like
it is,
lifestyle and yeah.
which is why you need discipline, right? If you're gonna walk away from that 9 to 5 job, it's not for the faint of heart. Like you can I feel like a lot of people every I've always said that every job in the world, it's like high school,
Mhm.
right? Like high school never dies. It's never high school never ends is a song from Bowling for Soup. That's my Have you heard it?
No.
It's Bowling for Soup, a punk rock band from like the 90s. They have a song called High School Never Ends.
Yeah.
And it's talking about you being an adult, but no matter at any stage in your life, it's always like high school. It's like who's got the prettiest face, who's the best dressed. High school never ends, right? Even in
Yeah.
corporate America, you're always playing that game of like who's the best dressed, who's got the best car, who's got
Mhm.
the best this, who's got the best that, right? It's just
Yeah.
same thing you've been doing since you were 16 years old, only when you're 50,
Right. Right.
right? And
Yeah.
And so it doesn't matter where you work. And this is why kind of Atlassian kind of stands out as a weird and interesting company to me, because almost everybody I talk to at Atlassian doesn't follow the regular mold of this corporate America, where there's like, you know,
Yeah.
there's a pecking order, there's a stack and rank,
Mhm.
there's rules to be followed, very specific rules.
Yeah, when I was there, I mean, it was, it um, was it the biggest company I ever worked for? I mean,
Could have been.
pretty much, pretty much. Um, at least in a, a Jira related, Atlassian related job, it was. And yeah, it definitely didn't feel, I mean, sure, it's still a corporate environment, right? Like
Yeah.
there's still like
There's rules to be followed.
levels, and I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, I mean, of course, you have to have you have to have some structure, right? But yes, it definitely did not feel overly corporate. It didn't feel like it was, everybody felt like they gave a shit. And I'm sure that there's always going to be a pocket of people that might be unhappy with their job or whatever, but I don't think those people stick around very long, right? Like I don't think you have a lot of miserable people who have been there for 10 years, you know what I mean? So like I do think, like, my experience in terms of the culture and what that was like was great. Like it was just, it felt unlike any job that I ever had. Like it was a legit, like, work life balance stuff. Like there was nobody pinging you at night or on the weekend.
Even
There
though
was
half the team is
none of
17 hours
that.
ahead.
Oh yeah, man. There was just like, I didn't feel bad about not looking at Slack or not looking at my email from Friday afternoon till Monday morning, right? Like I didn't feel guilty. I didn't, like all these other things that these companies like indoctrinate in people nowadays, especially in the remote generation, right? Where it's even more of a, like, well, you're not on Slack, so you're not working, that kind of shit. But yeah, it was a really great experience. I miss working there. I really do.
Yeah, it's
Um, yeah.
I've always just admired that last, and I think, but I was talking to Jan
Mhm.
Schumacher, who was employee number 13, as you may or may not know.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was kind of trying to ask him, like, how do you see the feedback, or not the feedback, but the corporate culture of Atlassian? Like, I'm concerned when Atlassian grows at the rate that they're growing and they're bringing in enterprise people,
Mhm.
there's an enterprise stigma as well, right? Like, there's a way to do business with enterprise, and I'll quote my favorite YouTuber. I love Mr. Beast. I look up to a lot of what I do on my channels, and a lot of what I'm doing on YouTube is all modeled after Mr. Beast, because it only makes sense to model the most successful YouTuber in the space that I want to be in, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But his biggest thing is, like, Mr. Beast has fought tooth and nail to not bring in executives from Disney,
Mhm.
from Warner Brothers, from Universal, right? Because he's like, I've tried to bring these people in, but they want me to run my business the way they're used to running their company for the
Right.
last 20, 30 years.
Right.
And that's kind of what I'm scared of, right? Where as Atlassian matures and grows into the next evolution, and they're trying to tap into that, that next 100,000 person company
Mhm.
endeavors,
Mm.
that as they bring people that speak those languages, that it hurts the Atlassian culture, because then all of a sudden you're gonna start filling up the team with folks that have that mindset. And I've seen that is in so many companies. I worked at Carrier, and their pool was like, they brought everybody from General Electric,
GE.
GE,
Yeah.
GE. But GE had a program that there was like some hotshot executive, like back in the 70s or 80s,
Mhm.
who did like this leadership program for them all. And so like they all like got, I don't want to say the word brainwash, right? But they all go through this brainwashing
Yeah, it was
thing.
Jack Welch.
Yeah,
Jack
Jack
Welch
Welch,
did
yeah.
he basically normalized layoffs and
But
and shareholder value and stack rank and
right. So you
rank
take
and
that, and
yank, what they called it.
then it
Yeah.
spreads to all these companies. And so what's
Mhm.
Atlassian gonna do when they put a high enough ranking person that came out of that Jack Welch program?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I think there's always a risk, any company, like you said, I mean, has a risk of things happening like that. And, that I don't think anything is impossible, but from what I've seen and from what I've heard, I mean, sure, there have been people that have come over from like places like Meta and stuff like that.
But that's still a
Um,
little bit less because Meta's still a hacker type of environment, right?
yeah, but it's also a massive company.
It is.
It is it's not just a social media site. Like it is a corporation. Um, but so I mean, I there's always going to be anytime you bring anybody in, there's going to be a little bit of it, especially someone in like an executive role. There's probably going to be little shifts, in
That culture.
not culture, not full on culture, but like styles. Everybody has a different style. Everybody has a leadership style. And I mean, I would say though, at the same time, Mike is still there. Mike is still involved on a very, day-to-day basis with things. I don't think he's going to bring in people that are going to go against his instincts and go against what he wants Atlassian to be.
Mhm.
And the people that he would bring in are the ones that in the decision are the ones in positions that would affect the culture the most, right? Like the people at that level,
Yeah.
they set the tone for the whole company. And I don't see him bringing in people that would cause any kind of, because I mean, to me, they really do give a shit about their employees. Like they really do. And I just don't see, they still live their values, man. Like,
No, they
don't fuck the
definitely do.
customer and all that kind of stuff. I mean, I mean, it's yeah. So I
I was
mean,
talk I was talking to Axel from Atlassian just a couple days ago at 5 a.m. and he started describing something to me, and I'm like, this sounds like be the change you seek.
mhm,
And
mhm,
when you're like naturally like, embedding your values into your conversations, that just shows how instilled those values are into your life because I can pick it up. I've never worked at Atlassian and I can pick up where you're going with this.
mhm. Yeah.
But it's
No, I mean,
important.
the values and stuff, like it was not Windows service. Like it was not um just something you put on a wall, right? And be like, these are our
Your
values.
belief signs.
It was really like it was practiced. It was
Yeah.
lived.
And I think it's
And
important though, but and I don't know, I don't even know where I'm going with this, right? But it's just it hurts me when other people are hurting because of that, like the values and the culture
yeah, yeah,
and just so many companies out there just especially now, like profits are tight, margins are shrinking.
yeah,
Like you gotta make a lot of calls. And I don't feel like letting your employees go or doing sacrifice on the employee end is the right solution.
yeah. Yeah, oh man, I could go I could go on for hours about stuff like that. Um, yeah, I think unfortunately companies have become too addicted to the short fix, and they only care about the quarter. They don't care about like where the company is going to be a year from now or 2 years from now. They care about like, okay, what are our numbers for this fiscal year or this fiscal quarter? And we have to hit our goals. Otherwise, whatever.
So how
But
do you think
it's always arbitrary bullshit
yeah.
anyway. It's not really a goal. Like it's you're making your own goal. Like you guys are setting the number. No
Oh
one
man,
is It's not a law that says your number has to be X. Like
I
you made a
remember
number, you didn't hit it, you messed up. Big deal.
yeah, I remember
Like
joining a company as a senior person on the team, and I remember like mid-January, we're coming up with our goals. I
mhm,
go, this feels weird. And they're like, which part? And I'm like, I'm setting my own goal for like my own target. And it's just a number that you want me to just arbitrarily give you because it doesn't matter what the number is.
yeah.
And so I'm like, this just feels weird that I can literally make up a number. And as long if I hit that number that you're asking me to give you, because you have no idea what that number should be, if I hit it, good things will happen. But if I miss it, bad things will happen.
Mhm.
So I'm pretty sure I know which number I'm supposed to give you,
Yeah.
which is the number I know I can hit.
Yeah. Yeah, man, it's unfortunate because a lot of good people, that I've known, it happened to me once. I mean, a lot of people get affected by those things, and a lot of people have gotten affected by those things over the last few years, especially. And it's tough. It's tough, man, because the thing about layoffs is like to me, there's never any closure, right? Like there's no, when you get fired, or like if you quit a job, there's obviously a closure with that. Like, oh, I fucked up. Like I made this big mistake and they had to let me go.
Yeah.
Or I just quit. I changed jobs. Like I was ready for something different. Those are very consumable reasons,
You know
right? They all
why?
make sense,
Yeah.
right? When you're laid off and it's like, this has nothing to do with your performance. It has nothing to do with this and that. You're a great employee. We love working with you. Blah 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 blah. But some executive who you've never met made a number, and then we didn't hit the number because we can't do math, and then like and then you have to pay the price. And that's just, it's shitty. It really is shitty. And I just wish companies would try a little harder before pulling that ripcord, because once you do that, once you rip that, like once you do that, there's no walking it back. Like
Yeah.
there
And
is no, for as long as people are there that were there when it happened, those people will always be affected. It will always be in the back of their mind. They're always going to feel like they have a target on their back. They're all like, the trust is gone. Like it's
I
gone.
I was a I was on the receiving, not the receiving end. I was on the side of the end where I've never, thankfully, never gotten laid off.
Mm,
But I was, when I jump into my teams, I'm really, really big on camaraderie. I think,
mm-hmm,
I don't feel like work should be you telling me what to do, Josh, as your employee. Like I feel
mm,
like it's a relationship, and I'm helping you out and you're helping me out, and we're working
mm-hmm.
together, right? So whatever you need, boss, I make it happen, captain, type of thing, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I spend a lot of time team building with the teams that I'm on, right? Where we 15, 20, 30 minutes a day, very unproductive, but just get to know your teammates.
Mm-hmm,
Especially in this,
mm-hmm.
in the water cooler talks that I used to have on site were just the
Yeah.
same thing, but it's a
Yeah.
little bit harder to do a water cooler talk virtually,
Yeah.
right? But having
Yep.
those lunches, having those, those moments where you go off with your team and have a quick lunch or a quick coffee or walk around the building, like that's where the magic of the productivity of the work happens, I think, in my mind,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because now again, you're not asking or telling somebody what to do. You're literally collaborating and trying to solve a problem
Yeah.
together,
Yeah.
right? But so I build these relationships. I build these strong camaraderies with my team. And I remember the first time that we went through a layoff. That day, frantically, it's around April 1st, and this senior, very senior person on my team was like, "Hey, I just got laid off." And I'm like, "Dude, it's like April Fool's is tomorrow." Like, not funny, because this guy was a wealth. He had like 35 years of company history,
Mm.
right? Any roadblock that I had, he could solve in 10 seconds because he knew who I could talk to solve the problem,
Yeah.
right? And so they let him go because very expensive. They didn't see value in his work because it's hard to put value in knowledge that enables everybody around you,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because he enabled me to do my job 100 times faster
Yeah.
than if I didn't have him, right? But the point I'm still trying to make is when they let him go, I remember that next day, our manager, our director came on, and he's like, "What's wrong with you guys?" And I'm like, "You," I spoke up. I'm like, "You guys like let go of not just a random person on a spreadsheet.
Mm-hmm.
You let go our friend who we cared
Yeah.
for very deeply, and it's like if somebody in our family just died, how do
Mm-hmm.
you want us to react? Like this is
Yeah.
I'm not you're not getting anything out of me today because I'm basically mourning the loss of somebody I deeply cared for." And I don't think a
Yeah.
lot of people see that the impacts of the layoffs is not just on the person that now has to figure out how to feed their family, but the people that remain. Like you said, I never felt that the trust wasn't there because I walk in not trusting the company,
Mm-hmm.
right? But
Mm-hmm.
it hurt me on a level where I was like, I just don't know what to do with somebody now missing in my life.
Yeah. 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 It's tough, man. There was a role that I was in a while back, and my role existed as part of the greater kind of agile team. So like the agile coaches and scrum masters and the director of that area, like I reported to her. And so I was teammates with all the agile people, and we all worked very closely together because like it's lockstep, right? The Jira stuff and product development teams and just the way that we did everything. And that entire team got canned at once the same day. It like all happened, and I was the only
How-
one that survived.
But how do you have such short sight as a leader to like miss that mark?
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, it was, but that was like what you just experienced or what expressed about what you guys went through. Like that was me for
Oh,
several days
days,
because
yeah,
it was just like I lost my boss, I lost everybody, and it was just like what am I doing here? like like this is, and not only that, it was that losing the team and then what it meant, right? Because then the mindset of the leadership shifted, because then it was like, well, we don't need scrum masters, we can just have the dev managers do it, and we don't need this, we can just do this, blah 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 blah. Even though there was so much value that was being like implemented in the company by that team, um and they felt the repercussions of that
yeah.
like pretty quickly and for a very long time after.
Yeah, I guess I've been
And
a little bit more numb to that because I've always worked in IT, and IT is always a cost center, right? They don't build
yeah.
anything, so they don't generate money. So my entire life, I have to remember the first time my manager, I had a manager, I went to a small company, and my manager's like, "Hey, we have money left over. Like, do you want to buy anything? Like anything you need, desk
Mm.
wise, computer wise, hardware wise, whatever you want." And I'm like, "I don't know, dude. I know how to save you 15% year over year." Like, ask me
Yeah,
how to save you money. That's where I'm good at. I
right.
know how to cut the cost. I know how to automate. I know how to make it things more efficient. But spend money, I've never had that luxury.
Yeah.
But it's I still
But yeah.
think like even with Meta recently, we brought them up, right? Like this last round of layoffs felt so bad. I don't know if you heard the stories,
Mm-mm.
but Facebook basically came out publicly saying we need to trim the fat, but we're not trimming the fat of just like anybody. We're trimming the fat on performers. Like
Oh, yeah, yeah,
we're
yeah, yeah,
valuing the
yeah.
performance of each
I did
individual,
hear about that.
and if we don't think that you're up to par on your performance, you're out. But then it turns out people are just getting laid off for no apparent
Yeah,
reason.
yeah, they just
So,
said
like,
that. They said
but
that to
because the
cover their
market
ass.
but the
Yeah.
market knew
Mhm.
that they were doing the layoffs based on performance, and they're like, "Well, these folks don't know how to perform." And that made
Yeah.
it so much harder.
And then it makes that that's incredibly unfair to people. Like, because then they have this stigma, and then they have this thing where it's like, "Oh, well, but Meta said that you're crap."
Yeah.
And there were people who were absolutely not low performers who got laid off. Sure, there may have been some low performers that got laid off, but not everybody. Like, you can't lay off that many people and tell me that every single one of those
Yeah,
people was shit. Like, come
man, and
on,
I would
man.
argue, how the heck did they get in your company? Like,
Yeah, if
what
they
was
were
your
so
bar at?
bad,
Yeah,
if
it's
they
like
were so bad and you didn't, so it's like, so you mean to tell me that if you didn't have to lay these people off, you wouldn't have? So like, or was it a board member saying, no, we need to cut X percent from this department, from this cost center,
so that I
right?
can go home
For
with
the
some good
next
money.
year. Oh, we'll just say they're low performers so we don't
Yeah.
take the PR hit. It's like, yeah, but it's bullshit. We know it.
It's crazy. Yeah, when I my last job, the one that I just walked away from, I was a very, very high performer. I
Mhm.
have an award here that was basically like employee of the year. And I had a
Yeah.
very existential crisis problem with that one because I hit employee of the year. I'm a C performer, dude. I was such a believer in C's get degrees. I got burned so early in my career for trying hard
Yeah.
and just being remembered for all the bad things. Like I don't know how jaded I am, but I am a believer that no matter how hard you work for somebody, you will always be remembered for your mistakes,
Oh yeah.
right? And so I
Yeah.
learned that early, and so I just learned to embrace that. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna give you just enough work to not get fired, right? And then I walked into this job where I became the Jira admin, and it turns out I was really good at this Jira administrative stuff, and I was making all this change, and enough that I got recognized as an employee of the year. But then my biggest problem, which is like apparently a big problem that I commonly have now, is like, well, once I hit that milestone or once I climb Everest, I'm like, hey, where's the next challenge?
Yeah.
Apparently, I need a lot of drive,
Yeah.
and so I walked away from this job because not because I was a low performer or because I wasn't doing my job or I wasn't satisfied with my job, but my manager decided to pull me to the side one day and yell at me, like cuss me out, and and I was like, you don't get to cuss out the guy on the internet that teaches people how to use the thing you're cussing me out on.
Yeah.
Like he
Well,
didn't
I mean,
under
he didn't
well,
need
he
to
didn't
do
know
that
how project
anyway.
he didn't know how project permissions worked in Jira, and he was trying to educate me on project permissions in Jira. And so then when I talked to his boss, because I resigned that moment, and that just it was a heartbeat reaction. He's like, "What are you gonna do about it?" I'm like, "Well, I quit."
Yeah.
And so I sent a formal email to his manager, and she reached out. She's like, "What's going on?" I'm like, "You can't have your guy yell at me. Like I
Yeah.
don't get yelled at for performance problems. I don't underperform
Right.
when it comes to
Right.
Jira, right?" And so she tried to convince me to stay, but I'm like, at that point, I'm like, I made up my mind. I'm not gonna stand
Mhm.
at a company that's gonna publicly yell at me and ruin a reputation that I have, right?
Yeah.
And for
Yeah.
most folks, but here's where the problem is, right? And I think a lot of people that imposter syndrome hits so hard
Mhm.
that you kind of just try to survive your job. But I took a different approach. I just became so good at my job that it couldn't be ignored,
Mhm.
and it liberates you a lot.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I would advise to anybody who's kind of on the fence, double down on getting really good at your skill, at your craft.
Yeah. Absolutely.
'Cause then
Yeah.
you're in control. Then you get to control your destiny.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, for me, I when I got when I kind of doubled down and when I got really good at it and when I got certifications and when I took that kind of extra 10-20% and really hit it, then a lot of things changed. I mean, not to mention like, sure, I still have imposter syndrome all the time, but I got more confident. I got more confident in the room. I got more confident in front of stakeholders. And because it was like, well, look, I have these things. Like these things say that I've achieved this level of knowledge and experience in this area that I know what the hell I'm talking about. And I finally was in those rooms acting like not arrogant, but like confident that I know what I'm talking about. And once I started doing that, like once I had that kind of ammunition behind me where I had that knowledge and I could prove it, it changed. It completely changed for me.
Yeah. It changes your
Um,
psyche quite a lot, right? Because you go from this
yeah.
survival mode to this, like, you kinda put your chin up high and your
Mhm.
shoulders back a little bit, and you're like, "I know what I'm doing."
Yeah.
And,
Yeah, absolutely. And then it started to like become more than just the Jira stuff, right? Because it was like, well, look, I've been around a while, like I've worked a long time. I've experienced a lot of different things. I've done a lot of different things. So it's like the things that I felt comfortable and confident with, like I have a lot of experience doing X, Y, and Z. I it rubbed off on that too. And then it was, like, no, I mean, I could do these things. I have opinions about things. I think things should be done this certain way depending on what it is, and I'm not afraid to express that anymore. Um
yeah. And also because
and
you can show how you get to
yeah.
your logic. I think a lot of people what I've seen, especially with Jira admins, I love telling people I lived 31 months in Missouri.
Mhm.
That lets me tell people that I'm from the show me state, right? If you spend 31 months in the state. And so
Yeah.
I love it when people I was just on a call literally yesterday with somebody who's like I'm like, "Hey, I need this from Jira." And they're like, "Oh, you can't do that." And I'm like, "Oh, show me." I
Yeah.
love it. I get so much like I know it's mean and it's the cynic in me, but I get a lot of pleasure when somebody just like then's like, wait, hold up. Maybe I shouldn't have said that. You can't do that." 'Cause there's a lot of power in show me, right? It's
Yeah.
talk is cheap
Yeah.
and showing is hard. And so you gotta stand by what you believe in.
Mm.
It takes time though to get there and your skills and your level of comfort to get to like, okay, I'll show you. Because I love it when people challenge me. It's like, well, what are you talking about? I'm like, well, let me show you.
Mhm.
Right. I love to show you. And I built my career around being skilled enough to be able to show.
Yeah. One thing we were talking about earlier, and I was gonna say it then, and we got sidetracked,
Was
but
it the dog?
the yeah, no. Um
Did that one ever come back?
no, I don't think so. Uh, but the thing where you're talking about admins, like Jira admins and stuff, I think the role of Jira admin, this might be a little soapboxy for me, but I think the calling people Jira admins, like that needs to go away because you don't want to hire. a Jira admin. You want to hire an architect.
Yeah.
Like you want to hire
Solutions are.
somebody, you
Yeah.
want to hire a solution architect. You don't want to hire an admin, because if you just hire an admin and the expectation is when we tell you to give us a field, you give us a field,
Yeah. It's garbage in
or
is
when we
garbage
tell
out.
you, like, yeah, if you just hire that person, then you know what? Just outsource that to a solution partner. Like honestly, because it's a waste of money to just hire somebody to just click buttons. You need somebody that can analyze the situation, that can understand business needs, that can understand requirements, knows how to get requirements, knows how to talk to stakeholders at all different levels, and then also someone that is an expert in the tools.
Yeah, because you need
And
to know the limit of the tool to guide
yes,
the recommendation.
and you need to be able to also say when the tool is not the right answer. And because Jira can't do everything. Like we all love it, we all think
I
it's
don't know.
amazing. It
I'm
can't
sure
do everything.
Mike would have a different opinion, but
It's not an accounting tool. Let's say that, right? There
they
are
use
certain
it.
things it's
I don't know if
definitely
you saw the
not.
interview, but they used it for their
It's
invoicing.
I would gladly have that debate with him. I love Mike, but it's that. But the point, ultimately, the point is sometimes there's a better solution out there,
Yeah.
and instead of creating some custom thing that has a million hours of overhead that you're going to have from now on, it's like sure we could do it, but should you do it?
Yeah, but this
Um,
institutional knowledge, and I think a lot of people are over dependent on AI, but AI
yeah.
won't, like, as much as you want to feed ChatGPT your company's info, nobody's gonna be able to. I call myself the Jira whisper now, right? Like, no,
Mhm.
this is intuition
Mhm.
to be able to do what you just described, right? This is not something you pick up in an ACP exam or go read on a forum, right? Like you have to create projects, you
Yeah.
have to get yelled at, you have to make mistakes, right? Because I feel
Yeah.
like you learn the most from your failures, right? And I think so many people are scared to fail, but when you make a crappy project and it didn't work out or you deleted something in Jira, that's when you learn to not ever do that again.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like the tools and stuff, like the chat GPTs and stuff, I mean, they're only learning when we're telling them to like, hey, don't give me this information like this ever again, or hey, don't use this word ever again. It doesn't know to not do that because of experience. It knows it when we tell it.
Right.
Right? So it's like it doesn't have the luxury of, all it has is access to information. It doesn't have access to people's experience with that information, and how they created that information or where that came from. Like they don't it doesn't have that yet. Maybe it
Yeah.
will someday, I don't know. But
So
right
I
now
would
it
say,
doesn't.
yeah, and I would say for a lot of people, everybody's scared that their job's going to be replaced by AI, and I would argue from a Jira admin perspective, your job will not be replaced by AI,
No.
but you will be replaced by a Jira admin who uses AI.
Yeah.
Because if I can leverage that to then bounce my intuition and insights, then I
Mhm.
can get to a solution quicker and faster and better than
Yeah.
if I were just trial and erroring my way
Yeah.
through the solution.
No, it's definitely a new skill that I think the more people that can learn and be average or better with, then the better off they're going to be. It's just a new thing people need to learn. Like social media, that used to be something that very few people knew or knew how to do. A few people learned how to master it, right? Like a few people, not everybody knew how to do a video and then upload it to YouTube and, all this kind of stuff. And then a few people, well, not a few people, but a few thousand, few 100,000 people figured it out, and they figured it out enough to this is their career now. So it's like it's the next evolution of like technology and tools, and
But
it's you
it's
have
the
to
next
use it.
evolution. But have you read Malcolm Gladwell's? Oh boy, I want to say it was Outliers, but I don't think it was Outliers. Because Outliers is the 10,000 hours, right? That makes you an expert.
I don't remember.
It is. So Outliers is if you invest 10,000 hours in something, you'll become
Yeah,
an expert in something, right?
yeah,
But he's got another book. He's got another. I think it's in another book because he's got like I have all his books and he has six or seven of them. And he has this thing where I don't know if you know this about Canadian folks are born in a very specific window. Did you know this? That boys in
Mm,
Canada are mostly all born in a very specific window of opportunity throughout the year.
hmm.
You never heard?
No.
Because hockey is such an important
Oh,
thing in Canada. Because hockey's so important, right?
yeah.
You're more advantageous to be the older kid in the younger bracket than to be the younger kid in the older bracket. Does that make sense?
I
And there's a
gotcha. Yeah,
cutoff.
yeah, yeah.
There's a
Yep.
cutoff where if
Yep.
you were born before this day, you make it on this team, and if you're born on
Mhm.
this day or after, you make it on the next year's team.
Yep.
And so people carefully like time their, you know, their babies to be born right around the window so that they still make it for the optimal range.
Yeah.
Right? Like this is like a decision that people make. And so the premise of the book is that every once in a while you're born into an era where life works into your advantage.
Mhm.
Steve Jobs, Bill Gates are the exact same age. They grew up in an era where computing power was very few people had their hands on it,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
They created Microsoft and Apple respectively, not because they were smart, but I mean Bill Gates probably very smart, but because of the era that
Mhm.
enabled them to do that move,
Oh,
right?
yeah. Timing's huge.
Yeah, Bill Gates wouldn't have been where he's at. I love that whole story with that was it Paul, what's his name? Paul Allen. Walk
Yeah.
Paul Allen walks into the dorm and hands the magazine to Bill Gates and tells him this is gonna happen with or without us. And so I feel like AI, like when ChatGPT came out, I remember telling my wife, I'm like, this is gonna happen with or without us.
Oh,
Like there's
yeah.
certain moments where you know certain things are gonna happen with or without us. Right now, my wife and I are very interested in Unreal Engine from Epic Games.
Mhm.
And I'm telling my wife, I'm like, we need to build something because this is gonna happen with or without us. My phone is ringing somewhere and I don't see it. They're over here. Yeah, so there's these very historical moments, and I think a lot of people are usually late. Right?
Yeah.
I remember the exact spot in my high school, second floor, in this little tunnel between classrooms and the lockers, when somebody's like, "Have you seen this video on YouTube?" And I'm like, "What's YouTube?"
Mhm.
Right? And here I am. This must have been '06.
Yeah.
Late '06, early '07, and so here we are almost 20 years later, and I'm barely getting into the YouTube game. Can you imagine if
Mhm.
you would've gotten in, like, right at the flip
Oh,
point?
yeah, man. Yeah, it was yeah, timing, man. There's definitely a luck component. I mean, sometimes you just have to have the bounces go your way, and and it's taking advantage at the right time too.
Yeah,
It's having the guts and the wherewithal, and sometimes you need sometimes you need to be older, sometimes you need to be younger, and but
but sometimes you gotta
either way, it comes down to like you just had to make the right decision at the right
yeah,
time.
but sometimes you just gotta see the wave to catch it,
Yeah,
and I
yeah,
feel like the wave right now, if you're in Jira Admin, Rovo is gonna play a huge role, right?
it
Atlassian's
is.
investing too much into Rovo, so if you're kinda just saying, "Oh, Rovo's gonna be a fad," like, I think
I
you're gonna
tell you
make
what,
the
man, it kind of snuck up on me. I'll be perfectly honest, because when it came out, when they first announced it last year, um, and then throughout the year, it was like you didn't really hear a whole lot. It didn't seem like adoption was
yeah,
happening at wide scale. And then it was like, oh, and you heard the pricing, and it was like, whoa, like
yeah.
that's expensive.
Yeah, I was, DOA
And
was my 3 letters that I used for Rovo in 2024.
yeah, like
Dead
I would just
dead on arrival.
yeah, I didn't really know what to expect. I mean, I knew they were pushing hard on AI, right? Like lasting intelligence doing all this stuff, like cool. Like they had to. I'm glad they were doing it. But then when this stuff happened this year, I mean, it was like not only are we doubling down, but it is like the engine for all
Everything.
tools like going forward. And it's like, whoa, like this is now a thing. Like
Yeah.
it is not a,
And
like it is the thing.
a bold move that Mike had to do because we went back to that shareholder value quarter to quarter. This is
Yeah.
gonna hurt them a lot, right? I was reading the price or the cost to run a Google search is like flicking on a light bulb for 17 seconds or something like that.
Mhm.
But the cost to run a ChatGPT query is like a 3-minute light bulb,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah. It's expensive.
every robo interaction is gonna cost Atlassian a pretty penny, but they gotta drive that mass adoption.
Yeah. And they obviously took a huge step in that direction by saying like, look, like everybody can use it. There you go. This is yours. Which I think is, I mean, that takes a lot of guts. um, to do that, because that is just so the opposite way of all this is where this is going right now. I mean, I pay $25 a month for Chat GPT Pro, right? Or whatever it's called. I mean,
Yeah, because the
so
Pro
it
one's a
was like,
$200 one, right?
yeah. So not that one. I
Not that one.
you
You're
know
not that rich.
the 20, it's like $25 a month, whatever
Yeah.
that one is. Um, and yeah, I was like thinking like, oh God, am I gonna have to pay? Like just thinking about it, like, man, that would be another $25. I mean, it's like, it's like, yeah, could I afford it? Yeah, but like, man, like it's just gonna start, one thing after another,
Yeah, it's gonna
and
start
then
soon,
and
like your
being able
Netflix
to.
and your Disney Plus and your
I mean,
Hulu.
it would be like OpenAI saying, you know what, forget it, we're not gonna charge people anymore. Here it is, use it however you want. This and that. Now, if you want like some kind of pro thing where it's like you get extra power, that's one thing. But like, we're just going to do away with everything, and you'll have the same thing as everybody that has the free. And they may get to that point someday. Who knows?
Yeah.
But that's like them doing that right now, and it's just like that's our value. I think that's literally our revenue generator. Atlassian, they have a little bit of a different situation because they're already making money from the software. So it's this aspect of the software that is new, obviously. And sure, it potentially could have been a big value stream. And I think it still can be,
I think it
just
will
not
be.
directly.
Yeah.
Like it'll be that thing. It could very well be that thing that gets a lot of people to come over, like government cloud, like all those types of things, like are all also going to play a big role in that. And finally having an AI solution that you don't have to pay for extra, right?
Yeah, I think they're going
Is
more closer to the route of Amazon with Prime, right? Like Prime, you
Yeah.
pay a monthly fee, but you get a lot of perceived value out of it, right? So I
I
think
th- I think I think we're one step closer to my utopia of Atlassian having one subscription price, and
just,
everything is like a feature flag. Like if you want a Confluence site, you just turn it on. If you want a JSM portal, you just
you
turn
say
it
that
on.
like I don't know
You
that
just
I'd mind
pay.
paying 50 or even $100 a month to just have everything,
That's what I'm saying.
right? Like
Like I think,
perceived
especially now, if we
value,
talk about the right, and if we talk about the UI updates, right?
which we got to roll
Like
back.
what if we look at those, right? It's the same user experience now, no matter what tool you're in, and you can basically bring Jira and Confluence and JSM, like you can bring all those kind of basically together in the
Yeah, because
same
JSM and
interface
Jira is
now.
technically the same tool already.
And they're trying to create the
Goals
same
and
exact
the app.
experience no matter where you're at,
Yeah,
right?
well, I can see that with the home app is really just the home tab
That's what I'm saying.
within
Like
Jira. Yeah,
it feels
I can
like we're getting closer.
I wonder if Atlassian would rename though, and or just call it all Jira.
I think you just call it all Jira. Yeah.
Again, I would not mind paying $50 a month and get everything,
It would be a
like
move,
all of
man.
it.
It would be a choice
It,
for sure.
it would.
I think they could potentially, I don't know. I mean, I obviously know literally nothing about this, but um I
Yeah,
could
let's not
see
get
it.
in
I
trouble,
could see it
Josh.
happening. I could see no, because look, what else did they just do? Right? They just announced these collections,
Yeah, the
right?
collections. Yeah,
Like teamwork collection, strategy collection, which is a bundle of tools for one price, right?
an affordable
So
one at that too.
yeah, it's more affordable than buying them separately. Um, but yeah, I mean, so it's just like I think like what if the next collection is just like
Jira.
this is the enterprise collection
Ah,
and
yeah.
you're going to spend $100 a month and you're going to have access to any Atlassian
Yeah.
tool you
And
want.
you get it all. Assets, align, goals,
Yep.
data
Anything you want.
lake.
Whatever we got,
all-
you can use.
Yeah. Next gen reporting, next gen
Because
metrics.
let me tell you something, what other company offers that?
Nobody.
Like in this
Everybody's
space,
piecemealed.
space.
Everybody's piecemealed, right? You got to get your Notions
Yeah.
for one thing, your
Yep.
Mondays for another thing. And all those
Yeah.
teams, all those companies like ClickUp and Monday, and they compete at such a niche level too.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like Atlassian's newest biggest competitor is Microsoft,
Yeah. I
or
mean,
or or a Microsoft like company, right? Like
Yeah. Yeah.
because they're not playing with Monday. Like you see all the commercials from Monday and ClickUp taking jabs at Atlassian, and I'm like, guys,
Well, that's yeah.
you're like that's kindergarten stuff. Atlassian's not playing there
Well,
anymore.
I mean, to be fair, Atlassian ran ads at Team last year about ServiceNow.
Even this year, no, but
Yeah, and
ServiceNow,
this year too.
but ServiceNow is an enterprise thing, right? Atlassian is trying to be very strategic. I don't think
Yeah.
I don't think they're going to be
Yeah.
effective, right? But ServiceNow, the integration and deepness and interwebedness. Am I making it worse? Interweavedness of ServiceNow in a corporation in an enterprise is
Yeah.
deep.
It
It's
is.
deep,
It's
deep,
also
right? So
incredibly expensive.
it is.
It's
So a
very
hundred
expensive.
dollars, $100 a month per user, and you get all of Jira, all the Confluence, all of JSM with the assets, all of Rovo, all the AI, all the home app, all the align stuff, all the strategy, all the what
Yeah.
do they call it?
Yeah.
Their team where they were distributing the workload,
Mhm.
right? Whatever
Oh. Oh, talent.
talent, yeah,
Yeah.
talent and everything that they announced is like one bucket, all your users,
Mhm.
unlimited collaborators, unlimited stakeholders. It'd be like the ultimate package.
I
You
mean,
know,
I could see them though still keeping like a line and that stuff separate.
I don't know.
But
I
I
don't
could but I mean, I could see it I mean, either way, sure, potentially, but I could also just see it being, the tools that we know now, leave out of line, right? The tools, all the tools today, all of them, right? And then there's like a minimum tier, right? Like you're going to have at least 1,000 users. So it's going to cost you,
I'm good.
$100,000 a year or whatever it is. And, but you get everything. Like you just,
Yeah.
you get them all.
You
And
want
then
to
if
hear
you want a line, then yeah, because there's certain criteria and stuff, right? Like a
I
line
can
is a
see some
different
I
thing.
can see some tiers. Well, not maybe, not really, because
Mhm.
I can see companies need an align like capability,
Yeah.
maybe focus, right? But I
Yeah.
can see an align like capability that non ultra rich people need,
Yeah.
right? Like a
Yeah.
lot of CTOs can benefit from the power of what you get or the insights you get from online.
That's one thing that I think, and they could be working on it. I don't know, but
Well,
I feel like a line is still too
niche,
niche, and maybe
yeah.
they don't. Maybe it's not a concern,
They
right?
dropped the name.
But
They
I
dropped Jira.
but I know that. But I know what I do know, and what I've experienced is that there are a lot of companies, your SMBs, right? So not all of your enterprises, but you have a lot of companies who are like in between, right?
But
Who
that's why you have a lot of
desperately
collections then.
need who desperately need what a line can offer,
Yeah, but
right?
now
They're
I can
still
see a
growing.
developer collection that comes with Compass and Bitbucket and the pipelines and Jira and Confluence and developer agents.
Yeah.
I can see the SMB collection where it comes with agents that are there to help you with CRM and a little
Mhm.
bit of payroll and a little bit of this, a little bit of that. So
Mhm.
you can start seeing collections and that are agent bundled.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now I'll tell you a funny
Potentially.
story. I do you know Sharif Manjur?
I mean, I haven't met him, but yeah, I know
You've
of
heard of
him.
him?
Yeah.
So I ran into him after team, right between I finished my talk at like 4 p.m. or something like that,
Mhm.
4:30, between team and bash, and they were just hanging out outside the expo hall, and I said hi to him because he's a huge fan of the Jira Life, believe it or not.
Nice. Nice.
And I was telling him about the interview with Mike and everything, and he's like, dude, he's like, a couple of weeks ago you were talking about something about Rovo, and you're like, wouldn't it be cool if Rovo could do this or that? And
Mhm.
Mike sends a Slack message to Sharif and goes, "Dude, check this part out. You're gonna be so excited when we announce it at team next, like in a few weeks."
Oh, that's cool, man.
So it's like when this goes live and Mike's watching this and we're making these predictions, I could already see Atlassian going like, "Dang, how do they know?"
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's cool, man. That's really cool.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
dude, we might just turn this into the first Joe Rogan podcast here. Where let's go 3 hours.
Hey, man, we're doing it live.
No, no, this one's recorded. This one's
I know
recorded.
it's not live. I know. I was making a joke. But no, yeah, it's I like long form stuff, man. I do.
I think
I
you get deeper into the stuff, man. But
You do. Yeah.
maybe I'll bring you back. I think we should plan. I do want to be mindful of your time, but I think we'd go where we go like 2 3 hours. That'd be kind of cool.
Dude, I'm always down. I'm down. I love yeah, we'll just have topics. We'll have
Yeah,
discussion
yeah, just
points and
collections,
have
and
an
we have so many
agenda.
yeah,
Like, like, what do we want
script.
to talk about
Can you
today?
imagine a 3-hour script?
Oh God, no, no. Outside of a movie, no way.
I know, right? Yeah.
No.
What was your biggest takeaway coming out of team though? Like, what
I
shocked you?
mean, um, the thing that surprised me the most was the Robo stuff.
The pricing on it?
Yeah, as a partner, we got a little bit of a heads up, but either way, when I heard that that was happening, I was just like, this is gonna, this is a, and not only that, but like just the overall amount of stuff that they announced,
Yeah, it
like
was a lot. Dude, I
this
made
was
like
a
25 videos.
lot.
I made like 25 videos where I captured literally the big themes, and so I captured 25
Yeah,
themes that came out of that talk.
I think the biggest thing that surprised me, sure, Rovo, but like overall was just the sheer amount of stuff that was announced this year. Because to me, it felt like it blew away the previous year. It blew away the year before that. Like it just felt like so much more,
Yeah, I'm not
was
even mad that
coming and happening.
yeah, and I'm not even mad that Justine's not even there anymore. I love Justine.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, that was I think the biggest takeaway for me was just that it was the volume, the volume of stuff that happened. Um and that personally, I'm glad that it wasn't in Vegas.
You like
That
Anaheim? Was
that
the good
I
vibe?
do. I do. Yeah. I mean, the weather's better. You're actually outside, right? Like the funniest thing was for the most part for me, the previous 4 years in Vegas, I think I left the hotel once, twice. I was like indoors all 5 days,
Mhm.
right? Like I barely saw the sun. So I was much happier having um it in Anaheim where we could like actually be outdoors. We were
I
outside a lot actually.
I will tell you, we got very, very lucky with that weather though, because
Yeah.
yesterday, May 8th, was the first time I saw the sun since like April. So
Wow.
it's a hit or miss here. I know last year I was telling my wife I was very concerned. I was very worried about team this year happening and at in Anaheim because last year when we went to Vegas, it was raining when I left here.
Mm,
So we don't always
gotcha.
get lucky with the rain here, especially in April or May, but it really just
Yeah.
depends. But it's nice cold weather. But today and tomorrow I'm gonna be at 100 degrees.
It's 100 here. Yeah,
Yeah.
same here.
So
Yeah,
it's pretty hot. So I cleaned up
it's
the
hot.
pool, got everything ready in the pool, got it chlorinated,
Nice.
shocked. I'm like, we're gonna jump in this weekend. It's
Heck
Mother's
yeah,
Day.
man. Heck
Yeah,
yeah.
some fun. But I'm excited. I really like teams. I really like the environment. My wife got mad at me. My wife got really mad at me because this team was special. Team was this most special team for me, even though it's only my third team.
Uh-huh.
But it was in my hometown.
Yeah.
Right? It was in the streets that I grew up walking on.
Yeah.
It was the
Oh, that's cool.
restaurants and locations that I went to. But this is where I got into a lot of trouble. I've been to Disneyland like 200 plus times. I was just there like 2 days ago. I was supposed to be there right now, but the heat
Wow.
made me not wanna go to Disneyland today.
Yeah. Yeah.
And but to go to Disneyland with the Atlassian community, which are like huge parts of who I am as an individual,
Mhm.
and to be able to share, because I don't know if you saw the Slack channel of team. We had a Disneyland
Yeah.
Slack channel,
Oh, yeah.
right? And to be able to share the red line, I don't know, I'm sure you saw
Yeah.
my
Yeah,
infamous
yeah.
red line, and and I grabbed a group of people from Spain, and we literally just went, and I gave them like they got to see Disneyland through my 200 visits at Disneyland,
Yeah.
and in Spanish,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And like we were on Rise of the Resistance, and it broke down on us,
Oh.
and they were freaking out, and then I'm like, I'm so excited, and they're like, why are you so excited? I'm like, guys, this is the best experience you can have at Disneyland. They're like, a ride breaking down. I'm like, no, a ride breaking down, and you get walked off the ride, so you get to go behind the scenes through
Yeah.
the ride as it's broken. Like that's like the
Yeah.
best part. Like for that to happen, it's like it's so rare. And they're like, they
That's
just couldn't
cool.
understand. I'm like, because I've been walked off of a couple of rides in my life, but to be walked
Mhm.
off with them, it was like
Yeah.
special.
That's cool.
um, so there was just a lot of like these moments where they were very, very. I don't even have words. Like they profoundly meant a lot to me. more
Mm,
than team, more than anything else, because
yeah.
I got to share them. We had Bob and Sarah come over to my house. They were at my house on Saturday and Sunday before team, and
Uh-huh.
Ed Gale too, right? But for me to share like our staple food with them, right? Like
Yeah.
the meals that we make for our family, to give them insights into that, like that to me was more important than even the mic interview.
Yeah.
And so it's really, really cool from that perspective. I also did break a record. I lost a person for the first time in my life at Disneyland.
Oh, wow.
I've never in 200 visits have ever lost anybody at Disneyland ever until this dude like from his name's Jorge from Spain.
Uh-huh.
We walked into this Toy Story store right outside of Astro Blasters,
Uh-huh.
and we walked out and we kept going. We kept going, and like 30 minutes later, one of the Spanish guys goes like, "Where's Jorge?" And I'm like, "Who's Jorge?" And he's like, "The guy." He's like, "Dancing with." I'm like, "Oh, I don't know. Where is he?" So I went back, looked for him, and I couldn't find him. I'm like, "You guys don't move. I don't want to lose 10 other people."
Right,
Right?
right.
'Cause I went back, looked for him. I'm like, "I can't find him." And then I checked my LinkedIn while we were in line at Space Mountain. We connected on LinkedIn. So he sent me a message that I saw. I'm like, "Wait for me right here. We'll be right there."
Yeah. That's
So
funny.
first time in my life, I lost someone at Disneyland. And but yeah,
No, but
relation.
yeah, that's cool though. I mean, that to me is that that to me is like why I became a community leader too. Was just like and then once I did what it like it completely changed not only how I felt about it, but like how it just changed everything because it was how like genuine everyone is and how nice everyone is and how much everybody just genuinely wants to help each other
Oh yeah,
and like be there
absolutely.
for each other and um it's an amazing I've never been a part of a community like this like in anything honestly I I mean honestly I would actually compare it to the relationships that I made when I was in the military because like that kind of brotherhood sisterhood that that you form those types of friendships and like relationships with people it to me it's reminiscent of that
Yeah.
um
The
yeah
I've never
it's
experienced this anywhere ever
yeah
with any community. And I've been in IT for a long time, and Microsoft was a huge part of my life at one point.
mhm,
Nothing like this. It's crazy. Like I feel like with folks from Spain, like I didn't want to go to Barcelona. I had
mhm,
no intention to go to Barcelona until I met with this team, and I'm like, I gotta go see you guys again. Like once a year is not enough
yeah
for me. Like I have to see them a second time.
yeah I'm so glad that like Atlassian clearly is willing to invest and spend the money and the time and the effort the resources everything to like invest in the community in
But
the
it makes sense.
learning
But it makes sense
in
though,
the
right? Because like this podcast here, right? This show,
yeah
thousands of people are gonna see it. But if you're on the fence, right? Like if you gotta go pick between Monday or Jira, right?
mhm,
There is a benefit to having a group of evangelists that just generally love the product
yeah
so much like we do, right? And for Atlassian, like we do their work for them, right? Like Atlassian doesn't need to have a huge marketing budget when I'm out here hustling 14 hours a day, is putting content out for
right
Atlassian.
right right
So the least they could do is pay $100 and send it to Disneyland.
yeah yeah exactly
Um,
yeah
but
no it's a great place
it's one of a kind, and I love the
yeah
slackness of I like the Slack part of it. I love the how we help. Although I do want to pick your brain if we got time here.
sure
Aaron Geister. It's Geister. Aaron, um, we've been flirting with this idea of starting like a council of admins,
mm,
right? Where we need folks that are like architects, like himself, myself, yourself,
yeah
because a lot of this. Remember, we were talking a little bit about imposter syndrome earlier, where it's hard to not have imposter syndrome, especially when you're setting a direction, right? It's really
yeah
easy for you to go, wait, I just told a bunch of people to invest $100,000
mhm,
on this tool and use it
yeah
this way, right?
yep
And
yep
you're like, is it the right way? way. And obviously, experience is going to get you really, really far, right?
Mhm.
But again, I take a lot of pages from Mr. Beast. I don't know if you know this, but Mr. Beast, every once in a while, I think it's like once a quarter or something, once a year, they rent out a house. They get a big old Airbnb, like a 10 like huge mansion, and they just
Mhm.
hang out for like 3 straight days playing basketball, playing pool, jumping in the pool, right?
Mhm.
And they're just talking shop, right? Just talking strategies.
All the
Here's
people
what
that
I'm
work for
working on.
him?
No, peers,
Oh, nice.
right? Other YouTubers in his
Yeah.
space, like
Yeah.
millionaires that are like you're talking like again his peers, whoever his competition is, like
Right, 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 right.
Dude Perfect and
Yeah.
these big hot YouTubers.
Yep.
They just get together for a weekend to kind of talk about like here's what we're doing on our channel, here's what working, here's what's working, here's what we tried, here's what didn't work, right? So
Yeah.
imagine if we were to get together once a like half a year, not at teams, right? Not in this fashion, but
Mm.
literally at a mansion somewhere where we have breakfast, lunch, and dinner together. We're hanging out, we're doing outings together, but we're talking about like, hey, I had a team, we tried to do this, it
Yeah.
failed, and
Yeah.
then other teams like, oh yeah, I tried that before, and this is why it failed, right? But the level ups that we would do on each other to help
Mhm.
each other grow would be
Mhm.
so exponential, right? Like you cheat.
Yeah.
Like you take my 13 years of Jira, your third whatever how many years, right? We put them all collectively in one room, and
Yeah.
then we'd all come out 60 years wiser.
Right. Right.
And
No, I
that's
think that'd
that's
be
what
cool.
Aaron and I want to do.
That'd be
Like
cool.
we're like, how do we figure that out? But we need pockets for that.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I mean, I would say, yeah, I mean, we should talk about it more. And then we all know a lot of people that we could bring that idea to and potentially get,
Find some pockets.
funds for and stuff. So
Because
I think, yeah, I think it's definitely worth putting down on paper and see what we can come up with
yeah,
and
because
see how it would make sense.
what Rob Heenan and I are gonna do to keep it cheap, to just start something off, we're gonna do from a creator perspective,
Mhm.
just once a month at like 6 a.m. We're gonna jump on for an hour or two and just talk about what we're doing from a content creation perspective. So if any
Mhm.
other champion is out there at that time that has free time, they'll be able to jump in, right? That's
Yeah.
one aspect. But I'm really think even at a virtual like admin council of admins would be beneficial. But I
Mhm.
really think being together, forced together, we're either gonna walk out best friends or we're gonna hate each other 3 days later.
No, I think that would be good. I do. And even if it's like the first one has to be, like the
Like in my house.
day, like 2 days before team, right? Like we just say, okay, we're all gonna go a little bit early and we're
Mm.
gonna rent this place for one night and, like have
You know
this
what?
session.
That might not be a bad idea because enough sleeping bags, I can fit enough people in my house like 2 days before teams.
Yeah. Yeah.
um, I might propose that where we should have like our first official council of admins at my house, and we'll just spend 2 3 days. Like get here Friday, and we'll hang out
Yeah.
Friday and Saturday.
But yeah, I mean, we can obviously we can start it virtually and build up, and build the momentum and see where
Yeah,
this thing goes. And maybe we record the sessions and we share it out exclusively. You can only get a link to the YouTube recording if X, Y, and Z, right?
yeah.
We could
No,
do
we could
stuff like
definitely do
that.
that
Yeah.
because I just like I've been telling Atlassian like we need to train the trainer,
Yeah.
right? Because none of us have access to the product teams as directly as Atlassian does, and it's like I feel like I as comfortable as I am with my skills and as much as I know Jira,
Mhm.
I always have that 1% in my mind like did I just send somebody down a wrong path,
Yeah.
right? And it'd be validating and encouraging to hear others. Well, that's a great idea, or I've done this, or have you tried this tweak, or this is what I've been able
Well,
to
there's
do.
there's already the community, I forget what they call it, but it's like the advisory committee, like
We
the
have one of those.
yeah, yeah, like there's one that like uh, it's about the community. It's not about the products. So it's almost like to me, it's like we need like an advisory board or something like that kind of function, but product focused, but like product admin
Mhm.
focused.
Right.
That
Skill
to me,
based.
like we
Very
can
skill
run
based.
as part of the community, like that could be a part of it, but yeah, I to me like a council of elders, you know,
Yeah,
like we're gonna
yeah, but
we're gonna take the ring, we're gonna take the ring to Mordor kind of
yeah,
thing.
that was the ultimate thing, right? Just yeah, like literally,
Yeah.
okay, because like I don't know if you've seen this, but there was a shot. Oh, maybe 24 months ago.
Hmm.
Yeah, like 24 months ago when there was like all this uncertainty on the inflation was through the roof, right?
Yeah.
Things were getting really crazy. Like at least 2 years ago, everybody and their mothers, well, every big hot player in like the Fortune 500 companies, everybody flew to Omaha, Nebraska,
Hmm.
to go visit Warren Buffett.
Oh.
Right? Like
Yeah.
Warren Buffett,
Yeah.
like all of a sudden, every like if you there was like a picture of the tarmac at Omaha with all these private jets from everybody that flew in from all over the world just to go see, like ask Warren, like what do you recommend?
Yeah.
So I can see us like just building, like getting better as administrators and as evangelists of the platform by spending more time together, because we don't spend enough time together. As much as community driven we are, we
Yeah.
don't spend enough time together as community members to make ourselves better. Because even at
Right.
team, there's such a strict agenda that
Yeah.
it's in those in betweens that we can form friendships, but there's far and few on those.
Yeah. Yeah. Agreed. Yeah. I hope someday it gets to the point where it's like we have like legit events like every single day, and
Not
where
just
it's
not even
like
the
a couple
conference.
hours a day, a couple hours a day, each one. Um, but no, yeah, no, it's yeah, we definitely need to. That would be nice to have more opportunities to spend time with people. Um, you're a community after all, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, that'd be cool. I like the idea. I like the concept. I think that could be,
Well,
yeah.
I like your idea of like let's set it up virtually for now, and then I'm totally open to. I've already opened my house for 50 people to go have a barbecue. I don't know
Yeah.
how I feel about having 50 people spend the night, but I'm sure we can
Well,
figure it out.
yeah. Well, I mean, we don't have to do the spend the night thing. I mean, it can be, it could just be an all day, like
Yeah,
from the morning, we'll have all our meals together. We'll hang out till whenever people want to hang out.
yeah, midnight
And
or
then,
something, and then there's
yeah, yeah,
hotels locally or something.
yeah, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, because it's a little bit cheaper out here because I'm 25 miles out from Anaheim,
Hmm.
so you wouldn't be paying the ridiculously crazy prices of being in Anaheim,
Yeah,
right? And even
yeah,
then, at midnight, it's just a 30-minute drive, so it's not.
right.
It's probably cheaper than flying in from the Uber from LAX.
Yeah, I saw those. Those were like well over $100.
Yeah, I told everybody I
Yeah,
could avoid LAX. It's worth paying more to land at John Wayne
yeah,
than it is to fly into LAX. But LAX is just so much cheaper, the
yeah.
flight. But
I
you
definitely
pay it
spent a lot. I definitely spent a lot more in Uber than I did
in
Vegas
Vegas.
because I didn't have to go anywhere in Vegas. Here, it was like there was a
Where'd
lot of
you
things that
go?
happened off campus.
Like
I mean,
to the
there were different places and stuff that we went to, um, during the week, and so it was
That's
just
interesting
yeah.
because I spent $168 to park my Tesla in the hotel for 7
Oh,
days.
oh
But I'm
wow.
like, I should have just left it at my mom's house and not. I didn't need my Tesla at all.
Yeah,
I didn't go anywhere that wasn't too far. Anywhere that wasn't walking distance.
yeah,
But I did hear some people went to the Partners Awards down at the Grove. But so that was a good like 2 mile ride.
mm, yeah,
Uh, Anaheim is supposed to be between that Grove that everybody went to for that Partners Night and the stadium and the convention center. There's supposed to be a trolley that connects the two, but they've been building it for like a decade and a half.
yeah.
I don't know that they'll ever build it, but Anaheim was cool. I liked it, and I know that they're gonna do it another year. We did get some insider information. I met up with a couple of Atlassian, so this was special to me too. Friday after team, we all went back to Disneyland again.
Oh, nice.
Kit Friend was there. I took Sarah, right on my team. Well, she took herself. She paid, but I took her.
Yeah.
One of her buddies was there. My family was there, but we ran into Mark Ruth and Sean Doyle. Well, I was with Sean Doyle most of the time, but Mark Ruth, I ran into Mark Ruth, so I got to have lunch with him, and so that was very memorable too because you could see you could see Mark. in his non-natural state
Yeah. Yeah.
because he was. It was Friday. It's like 3 p.m. by the time I ran into him. He's already been at Disneyland. He woke up like at 11. I don't know. Did you see Mark at the end of Bash?
I wasn't there at
Did he go to
Bash.
Bash?
No.
Oh,
I've
dude.
never gone to Bash.
So I'm not a fan of Bash, and I was
Yeah.
bashing Bash this year. I was bashing Bash because when I went to Team 23's Bash was at the inside of the keynote hall.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
well, this is lame, right? But they made up for it. They made up for it by having the wall of candy and a lot of good food.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then Team 24, they did it inside the Win in the topless bar or the topless
Uh,
pool area. So it's super
yeah.
exclusive and super nice.
Yeah.
But the food sucked.
Uh,
And there was a lot of pool. There was a lot of water everywhere, so you can like fall into the water. So you're like
oh
really
yeah. Yeah.
cautious.
Yeah. Yeah.
But so this year when they did it back in the keynote area, I was like, well, I'm not. I wasn't over. I actually went to Disneyland first. Like I was like, I'm gonna go to Disneyland. Maybe I'll come to Bash. I wasn't sure,
Uh-huh.
but I'm glad I did because one, it wasn't. It was a rock concert, so they had
Oh, nice.
the Fritz and the whatever the band that they
Yeah.
had. It was a total rock concert, so that was really cool. Because I don't like to dance, but headbanging is a little bit easier.
yeah.
So that was fun. But I actually stayed. We walked like they had to kick us out. Like they
Wow.
turned on the lights. And they're like, okay, it's time to go.
yeah. Oh, that's cool.
And
Yeah. I for whatever reason, like the first time I went, I didn't go, and then the second time I went, I ended up like having to leave early, and then at that point, it was like, well, I haven't gone yet, so I got to keep it up. And then I never went, and I would just fly home Thursday afternoon. Um,
my theory,
and
my
yeah.
theory is that Atlassian's got a tit for a tat on the awesomeness, not awesomeness of Bash.
Yeah.
And so,
Yeah, I mean, the budgets may change. Yeah.
so here's my logic, right? I heard 2019 Bash was like amazing. It
Uh-huh.
was like at the Mandalay Bay pool top, like and the rooftop pool or something like
Yeah.
that.
Nice.
20 and then 2020, 21 out, but 2022 I heard
Right.
was not as good. But 2023 sucked. That's for sure. But 2024 was like the win experience was nice. Like it was a nice bash.
Yeah.
It was really, really nice.
Mhm.
And 23, I mean, sorry, 25 sucked. I mean, it was enjoyable, but it wasn't anything over the top. So I'm keeping my fingers crossed that they rent out DCA next year and that it's at Disney's California Adventure. And so I would keep when you make your travel plans, at least try to see if they do something worthy like that. Because I
Yeah.
think,
I mean, I usually initially always like book my flight for, Friday morning, and then stay through Thursday, but then I usually end up changing it because I'm like, yeah, I don't want to go. So like,
I'm telling you,
but yeah, we'll see.
this batch was so different. The highlight of this batch, though, like the food was like but for the community leaders, they brought Domino's pizza. Like people flocked that poor guy. There's a guy with maybe like
Oh
20
my
boxes of
god.
pizza, and like it was like an ambush. They're like food,
Oh no.
real food. It was good food.
Oh
'Cause
man.
whatever the heck they had going on out there was not good food, and so like people got
Yeah,
ambushed.
that I kind of agree. Like the food was a bit of a miss. The refreshments, all that kind of stuff, like in the hall.
Oh
Like it
yeah,
was just like it was like impossible to get anything except like water and coffee. And when we were in Vegas, I mean, it was always like Diet
food
Coke.
galore.
And
Yeah,
yeah,
no,
like it was just like there was just a little bit more hospitality. Um from a hospitality perspective. So I mean, maybe hopefully they'll. I know that for a fact that they're getting that feedback from a lot of people.
yeah.
So hopefully that'll improve a little bit. Yeah, the food was kind of like, um, but
The
yeah, I
food
mean,
was
overall, I definitely preferred it. Did it seem bigger to you, like the expo hall?
so
Like there was more stuff this year?
so that's interesting that you bring that up. So the expo hall itself felt bigger because it was a bigger room,
Yeah.
right? But they only use 1/3 of the expo of the convention center, I should say.
Well, I mean, that could be the same. That's the same for like the Venetian. They didn't use that whole thing.
No, no, no. In that area, they used the whole thing.
Well, I mean,
But
not the whole hall though. Not the whole expo hall. Like they used like the front like half of it and then they
I
used
see.
like the other 2 rooms and stuff.
Right.
But
No,
yeah, I
well,
mean,
here the building they used a third of the available building space
wow.
because there's a whole arena
Oh
dome,
yeah, the arena.
and then
I'm
they use
surprised they
one.
didn't do anything in the arena.
I know,
Like, I'm
and then
surprised they didn't do like the big keynote in the arena or something.
yeah, I would have done the bash party there.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah,
That's the thing. But
yeah.
it was nice.
It
It
seemed like
felt
there were more people there this year than last year.
the number I heard was 5,000. I heard
Yeah.
5,000 people, but they also had an outdoor component, which I thought was a nice little, flair. Where in the middle of the expo hall there was like that outdoor. I never made it out there, but I saw
Oh,
people
yeah.
having lunch out there.
Mhm.
I didn't. Every second was counted for me
Yeah.
at team.
Yeah, I did not get to, see as many people as I wanted, and,
I don't even think I saw
um,
you that much.
yeah, man, I was doing all kinds of stuff, and it just was not it wasn't super enjoyable for me this year, unfortunately. I just because I was so busy. I was just
Yeah,
so busy doing a bunch
for
of
me
other
it was work.
things.
It was my Super Bowl, but I was working the whole time.
Yeah, I was working more than I was attending the conference and stuff,
Like
and yeah,
physical
it
work
just
or
wasn't.
work at the conference,
Uh,
like networking.
like work, well, like work,
So you're
but
calling it like meetings and stuff.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Like the main, like on Wednesday was when Mike had his thing, right? Like when the main keynote.
Hmm.
I was on a client call. I was on a client call like the entire keynote. I was sitting out in front of Starbucks, like on the call, like having the call. Oh, it was brutal.
Yeah,
Um,
you almost gotta clear the calendar for this.
yeah, I mean, it was important. I needed to be there, that kind of thing. And I was covering for other people so they wouldn't have to be there. And so
Dude,
yeah,
I
I
got
mean, it's
I
just
got
the
myself
job.
in
I mean, I can't
yeah,
complain, right? Like I get paid well, blah, blah, blah. But
I got
either way.
I got myself into a little bit of a quarrel, if you will, at
Mm.
team.
Oh
I
yeah.
wake up one of my clients that I work with, I wake up in the morning to a bunch of urgent emails, and I'm like, "What the heck's going on?" Turns out that one of the people we partnered up with, they published something and they I wouldn't say they bad mouthed it, but there was a negative light into a competitor, which is I guess natural when you're like, I built an app, it's better than XYZ, right? We
Mhm.
were How many times did we bash Monday and click up on this call, right? So very natural, very
Yeah.
much like that,
Yeah.
right? Where like I
Yeah.
make this product that I have a competitor and mine's better, right?
Mhm.
And so I woke up to a potential lawsuit.
Jeez.
I was like, what did I do? I'm like, I didn't even do anything. And so I actually had to go and talk. Fortunately for me, both players were at team, and so I
Mhm.
was like running like in the morning back and forth between them to try to like clear the water and not get sued.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
that was fun. That was probably the most stressful part of team.
Mm.
But yeah,
Well,
other
I'm
than that,
assuming it all got worked out.
yeah. Apparently, when you so it wasn't anything I did, so it was
Okay.
something else that somebody else did wrong, and I've already learned my lesson not to name drop people unless you know, and I'm sure
Yeah.
this is you and I. This is I'm always very cautious with you, right? Because of that one incident that we had that one time.
Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about.
I don't know either.
Uh,
And so I'm always very
yeah.
cautious. I mean, just 2 weeks ago we had somebody on the Jira Life, and they gave me a number, and I'm like, I don't like it when people tell me numbers
Mhm.
because that numbers are usually secret, right? I don't know why people keep so many
Yeah.
secrets, right? But
Yeah.
numbers are usually secrets. So I went and talked to his boss. I was in San Francisco last week, and I'm like, hey, your guy said a number. Should we like retract that or should we do something? And it's like, no, that number's public. I'm like, okay. I like to ask because I know
Yeah.
Atlassian is very it'd be so funny if like what we talked about today like comes out some email communication and I'm like, how did you know? Full disclosure.
We 100%,
Yeah.
just for the transcript people, we have 100% not revealed anything privileged.
But yeah, anything that we spoke
Uh,
about is strictly speculative.
yeah, this is opinions are our own, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, all that.
Oh man. But anyway, Josh, I am starving as much as I'd
Yeah.
love to go another hour.
Yeah. All good.
But
All
you will
good,
break
man.
the record for the longest Summer of Atlassian episode. So
Well, there you go. And I think you're gonna be surprised by how many people
we'll see. We'll see. You're
listen to
just the one
this
that tops it
because they
out.
like they like that they want to have something that they can listen to for their entire
Commute.
commute, or work out, or they just don't want to listen to their family for 2 hours, whatever it is, like that kind of stuff. I'm just kidding. But no, you'd be surprised.
Well,
You'd be
Josh, well, again,
surprised.
thank you so much. I always love hanging out with you. You're such a somber
Yeah, you too, man.
person. Somber
Somber.
person. Yeah.
What?
I think it's the voice. I
Am I
think
really?
it's the voice.
I
Yeah.
think I've been like friendly and
No, you're
laughing
very
and
friendly. You're very approachable. I see you as a mystery.
my yeah, mystery wrapped in an enigma. Yeah,
Yeah.
kind of
But
deal.
I always enjoy my time
That's
with you,
fine.
and
Yeah, you
I'll
too,
be
man.
back in Vegas. I'm sorry, I'll be back in Phoenix. All right, Josh, appreciate you
All
being here.
right,
Thank you
man.
so much.
Yeah, no problem.
We'll see you next year.
Yeah, exactly.